education in Africa. And when we talk about, previously we may have been guilty of wanting to pit one kind of education against another. But it looks like what we're talking about now is preparing students for a global world. How would you give an overview to that, first of all, when we talk about international education and what we're preparing students for?
Yeah, I think, first of all, there's an obvious answer, which is that we've seen over the decades, at least in our life, that the general trend is that the world is growing together, that people have become more connected. Unfortunately, in the last decade, it seemed like some of that has unraveled, and that nationalism and populism have made people retreat into their own camps or into their own tribes. And so I think that's unfortunate. But I think global education, quite simply put, is really about creating a better and more peaceful world through mutual understanding and respect. And that is a line I borrowed from the mission of the International Baccalaureate, which is the type of curriculum that my school delivers, but it really expresses something that's at the heart of what I believe and at the heart of what we do. And that comes through this appreciation of difference, this pride and cultivation of one's own heritage and culture, without necessarily undermining other cultures. In fact, with developing a greater appreciation and understanding of them. And I think that is at the heart of global competence and why international education is so important, because people are mobile, they're informed about what's going on in the world around them, sometimes through a lens that colors that information in a negative way. But I think it's very, very key that we learn to understand each other, to create a lasting peace in a world where sharing and collaborating are so very important, as we're seeing right now as things play out on the world stage, with those actors who oppose that kind of collaboration and seek to put their interests or the interests of their tribe first. We see how harmful that can be. And I think it's our mission to get students to say that loving your own and appreciating your own culture does not stand in opposition to loving and appreciating the other. And that's what international education is really about for me. That's very general, and there's a lot to unpack there. But I think that's part of the mission of our school, although our school has a more specific vision and mission, and that's certainly part of it, and that's certainly what international education, led, I think, by the International Baccalaureate, is trying to do.
So education across Africa